Phoenix has come out on fire.
I think we're peaking at the right time. We're getting better as games go on.
It's go time. It's playoff basketball. Do whatever it takes to win.
Oh, throws it alley. Payne puts it down. It's over.
We can't keep talking about it now. We got to do it. That's the deal right now.
They have been sensational.
We have our eyes on the prize. We're going to keep moving.
This is our freaking moment.
Hello, Los Angeles, in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers coming off their first win in Conference Finals history, just as they've done all postseason long. They won Game 3 after trailing 2-0 in the series. They'll look to tie it up tonight. We're getting you set for it all over the next 30 minutes live on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and the ESPN app. Hey there, welcome to Hoop Streams, presented by Thigh Stop from the flavor experts that brought you Wingstop. I'm Cassidy Hubbarth in NYC. We'll be joined by Big Perk in LA in just a bit, but we got our guy, David Jacoby, here with us from the Seaport Studios. Jacoby, I'm excited for Game 4 here because we're due for a good game after, the clunker we had last night.
Well, last night's game was an absolute blowout. But, Cass, I'm going to tell you the truth. I have no idea what's happening in these playoffs. I have no idea what's going on. It feels like the Clippers get down 0-2 in every single series and then end up winning it. Are we going to see the same thing again? I thought Chris Paul coming back was going to be everything for the Suns. It was going to guarantee the Suns to easily sneak themselves into the finals. But you know what? Game 3 showed us that was not the case.
Oh, man. We'll get more into how the Suns and Clippers are going to approach Game 4. Oh, and we got Big Perk in the building.
Perk!
Live and in effect.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you that, look, they tried to hold me down, baby, but I couldn't. I had to make it. Can't hold me back. Hoop Streams prime
Percolicious, percolating, perk.
Can't ever. All right, you two gentlemen look great. Let's see how both teams walked into the arena tonight and walk it out. And, it's LA. It's summertime. You got to be summertime fresh and casual. So let's see. Let's start off with Paul George. What you got? What is that, like a Hawaiian shirt?
Fabrics. That's a linen. That's linen. That's summertime linen. That's the fabric. That's a fabric decision he made.
Breathable, as they say.
Yes.
Chris Paul.
Queens of
also
Comedy.
Very comfortable.
Shout out to Monique.
Devin Booker, sans mask right now, and I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the mask he would be playing with. He will be playing with the mask again tonight. We got Terrence Mann. It's hot. Perk, aren't you there? What's the temperature?
Just beat a jacket on. I don't know what he got going on tonight.
Marcus Morris has his UPS finest there.
It looked like a onesie.
And then Chauncey. Soon he's going to be trading in that Clippers shirt for a Blazers shirt. We'll get into that a little bit more later. But I did want to show you one player we didn't catch on the walk-in was DeAndre Ayton. Did you guys see? He's wearing, let me show you. This is great television here. This is internet television. But he's wearing Devin Booker's face on his jersey. And what I mean by his broken nose and broken nose expert. Do you appreciate that shirt?
I'm wearing Devin Booker's face on my face.
I couldn't see his face. He had so much ice on his neck.
Right. He sure did, honestly. Icy. And speaking of icy, Ice Trae cooled down a little bit last night. The Bucks with a big win, evening up their series before heading to Atlanta. Let's look at a recap.
Our confidence never goes away. We came too far to get here and stop believing in each other.
At the end of the day, it doesn't get easy. We got to do our job. We got to do better.
Wow, that was the Michael Jordan kind of hesitation. Finds the cutting. Lopez's slam. Drew Holiday. His three is good. Late to the floor pass. Holiday head of the field. 20-0 run for the Bucks.
We got to focus in each possession at a time, and we got to do it together.
Perk, Jacoby said it to start the show. It's been hard to predict anything in this series. And And here last night, what did you think of the Bucks rolling all over the Hawks, 125-91 in that game?
Well, the Bucks was in attack mode. They played angry. They played upset. They played like someone poked the bear, and it was Trae, right? I guarantee you, Coach Budenholzer showed that shimmy shake in the locker room in film session after game one about 10 times. Because, look, I was watching the game last night, and we all know that Giannis is a freak of nature, the way his athleticism and everything about him. But he was moving 100 miles per hour. The way he was getting up and down the floor, I said to myself, Giannis is playing angry. This is the Giannis that we love right there. He was dominating, and he started dominating from the start to the finish. And I got the Bucks in 5.
Okay, well, no. Hold on that. Okay, so you're saying that he's going to poke the bear. That you're saying Bucks in 5, but bottle that up because it's been a postseason where few things have gone to script. So we thought we'd debut a new segment. Are you ready for it, Perk? Perks Stradamus. Shout out to Twitter user SND1129 for the artwork here. And look, the Hawks, they got 40 plus from Trae in game 1, and then they were down by 40 plus in game 2. You already looked into your crystal ball. You're saying Bucks in 5. Jacoby, what's your prediction for this game or for this series?
I have Bucks in 6. I think the Bucks are going to win. The Hawks are going to win 1 at home. However, the way Drew Holiday played defense against Ice Trae last night was what I expected for the entire series. Game 1, Trae kind of did whatever he wanted. He had 48 points, a ton of assists, but last night, Drew Holiday took the assignment serious, and I think that's what we'll see for the rest of the series. I have Bucks in 6.
All right, well, let's move on over to our game tonight. The Clippers, they followed their pattern and win game 3 after dropping the first 2. Pat Bev, played lockdown defense on both CP3 and Devin Booker. And Book had this to say about Pat Bev's defense following game 3.
He's ultra aggressive. He's denying, limiting touches. So, he has one objective out there, and we understand that. So, I feel like other things should open up, and, we have to look at the film and see what's open and see what we can get.
You guys, following games 1 and 2 this postseason, the Clippers are 9-1. So, Jacoby, predictions for tonight. Who's the better duo, Chris Paul and Devin Booker or Paul George and Reggie Jackson?
My heart, my soul, my mind says that Chris Paul, future Hall of Famer, Devin Booker, probable future Hall of Famer, are going to be the better duo. However, I can't help but notice that every time the Clippers get down 0-2, they win basketball games. As you mentioned, they're 9-1 and game 3 and beyond in this postseason, and I really feel like it's going to be Paul George and Reggie Jackson again, bringing the Clippers back to life from the dead as they have over and over and over in this postseason. I'm taking PG and Reggie.
That Perkstradamus music kind of sounded like Dracula, so bringing it back from the dead. What are you seeing there in your crystal ball?
Ooh, Jacoby, that's a bold statement right there. And look, I love the way Hot Sauce Reggie Jackson been playing. Paul George has changed a lot of narratives about himself. But look, I'm going with CP3 and Devin Booker. CP3 had to shake the rust off last game. Devin Booker, first time getting adjusted with playing with the mask. Monty Williams is going to find ways to free him up, to get Patrick Beverly off of him, to get him the matchup that he wants. I can see him getting to the free throw line tonight a lot during this game. I'm going with CP3 and Devin Booker. I think they're going to come out locked in. They're going to come out with on a mission. I got them as the better duo, and I got them winning this game tonight.
All right, we will see. Last one, guys. Series tied in the East. Clippers down 2-1. You really could make a compelling argument for any of the final 4 teams to win it all. And, this is a good time to give your finals prediction because it's always a good time. So, Perk, who do you guys have winning the finals?
Who you got, Perkstradamus?
I got the Phoenix Suns. They're going to be holding up the trophy. They're going to have a parade. It's their time. I could feel the energy. When you look at this Phoenix Suns team led by Monty Williams, all I feel is a family-type vibe. And when you see a family vibe and the way that they're connected on both ends of the floor, that's a scary sight. This team don't know how to lose a series. Once they got past LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, I feel like this team feel like they could beat anybody in the league, and I think the trophy is going to be in Phoenix when it's all said and done.
Do you see lies, Jacoby?
Well, Perk, I'm glad you brought up the family vibe because I spent all day with my family. We eat every meal together, and that's the reason why I think it's going to be the Bucks because they've spent so much time together. Drew Holiday's a new addition, but Middleton, Giannis, Lopez, Budenholzer, they've all sort of been together for so many years. They've failed time and time again that I think this is the year that they get over the hump. Let's be honest, they're going to beat the Hawks. And then whoever comes out of the West, I feel like the Bucks will end up winning this. But I'm going to be honest, can I tell you guys something? I don't feel good about any of these picks. Like, you look at all four teams, I can see any of them winning. Like, I don't feel great about this season, which is why it's been so much fun to watch these playoffs, because I don't know who's going to win. I could see any one of these four teams winning the championship.
Well, Cass and Jacoby, listen, this one thing I will say about the Bucks, and the reason that I did not pick them is because the Bucks are the most frustrating team in the NBA to watch. I mean, sometimes they play like they play dumb basketball, like careless turnovers. It just and you're looking at the TV, you're watching the game, you're like, what are you doing? I just can't put my faith in them to go up against a high IQ team like the Phoenix Suns with the floor general and Chris Paul to say that if it comes down possession by possession, that they'll win a series against Phoenix.
Just yes or no question. If Kawhi was playing in this series, would that change your prediction in any way?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you said yes or no question. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get more into Kawhi's status, which has just been a huge mystery, I feel like.
What's he doing this week? Being down on the bench, dog.
No,
What's he doing this week?
We're gonna get into that. As you're watching Hoop Streams presented by Thigh Stop. And you guys, growing up, it wasn't Superman or Batman that was a favorite superhero for Devin Booker. It was actually Kobe Bryant. The Phoenix Suns guard only got to play his idol one time, but he really made it count. And after channeling the Mamba mentality on the court, Kobe invited Book for a post-game chat and gave him some advice that he now lives by every day. Take a listen.
Here's Booker from deep. Wow.
Kobe, he's back. Booker's tough shot. Oh, drains him.
We had a short conversation on the court, and then he left me with, meet me in the back. Let's chop it up for a little bit.
Dream come true for Devin Booker to meet his hero, Kobe Bryant.
I thought it was going to be a 2 to 3 minute convo and ended up being 15 to 20 minutes post-game. And that's when he signed the shoes to me. One shoe said, "To the young one." The next one was, "To Book, be legendary." I got "Be Legendary" tatted on my arm. That's something that Kobe left me with.
Booker for three. It's good. Booker falling away. Got it again. It's a Booker bonanza.
He also told me what I'm going to have to do to become legendary. It's a constant pursuit. You have goals, you know the steps it takes to get there, and you can't shortcut any of them. That was the thing with Kobe. This is what I have to do to get that. Well, I'm going to check off every box.
Devin Booker on fire.
That keeps you going, that keeps you driven every day. The days you don't feel like you have it, I look at my arm, I see it tatted on me, I'm like, well, it's time to get it today. I don't care how you feel, Book. You got to be legendary today.
And for more on Devin Booker and Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals, we welcome in Rachel Nichols, who will be on the sidelines there in LA. And look, Rach, Pat Bev is a menace and has been particularly so for Devin Booker. Booker just 3 of 15 shooting when Pat is his primary defender the last 2 games. Booker called his defense ultra aggressive. I think you and I know essentially that's how you describe Pat's style in general. But what have you gathered on how Booker is looking to respond to Game 4?
Yeah, they've talked a little bit during practice yesterday, then again during film, then again this morning, about different ways to spring Booker a little bit when Pat Bev is defending him, and different things he can do to just get a clear shot. Some of it is X's and O's, trying to make sure he has more space, but some of it, frankly, is mental. Guys are not used to shooting with that much attention in their face, on their elbow, on their chest, on their shoulder, all the places that Pat Bev likes to annoy people. And so Booker knows that he's just got to try to get the best shot off that he can and not worry about where the defender is, especially when it's Patrick Beverley.
And you would think he'd have a little more comfort with that mask as well, this being his second game having to play with that mask. Now, we saw Cam Payne go out early in Game 3 with an ankle injury. What can you tell us about his status for tonight?
Cam Payne is good to go tonight. Actually was walking without a limp as early as yesterday, so that was great news. They didn't do a lot of heavy work in practice yesterday, so they didn't run him around on it. But the light work that the rest of the team did, Cam was able to participate in, was walking just fine, not only during the day yesterday, but last night after that light workout, and he is ready to go today. That'll, of course, help not only with what he is able to do when he is on the court, but get Chris Paul a little bit more rest. He played 39 minutes in Game 3. Monty Williams said ultimately it may have been the best thing for him because it got Chris back into game shape maybe quicker than he would have otherwise, but in general, they don't want to have to play Chris Paul that many minutes. They want to do it only if it seems right for the game situation.
Yeah, Monty said he wished he didn't have to play him that many minutes, but CP3 wished he just could have played better overall, critical of his shooting and pace. What do you know about Chris's mindset heading into Game 4?
Well, Chris Paul, after feeling that extra push from conditioning after Game 3, came in yesterday and said he was actually feeling that good kind of sore. Everyone who's done a tough workout knows what he means. Monty Williams, remember, he was a player in this league. When he came in his rookie year, he played under Pat Riley with the Knicks. Pat Riley, famous, especially back in those days, for those 2 or 3 hour just practices. And Monty said that Chris basically went through the equivalent of one of those. And it was actually probably the best thing to get him into game shape for tonight. Look, there's no playbook of coming back off of an 11-day COVID protocol layoff and coming right back into the conference finals. So they don't know for sure how tonight is going to go, but they think that he will be better, especially late in the game compared to Game 3. And the truth is, Chris said he was just so nervous watching the first 2 games, being on his couch, not being able to participate, that by definition, tonight is going to be a good night because he can have the ball in his hands.
Rachel Nichols handling all the elements there in LA like a pro, as she always is. Catch her on the sidelines tonight at 9 Eastern on ESPN and weekdays at 3 Eastern on The Jump. Have a great call, Rach.
Thank you so much.
All right, it's time for today's top flavors presented by Thigh Stop. And guys, we talked about how many minutes PG has played last show. Still a wide margin over everyone else. And look, he's drawn some flack for labeling himself playoff P and not stepping up. I'm looking at you, Perk. But Perk, I mean, should we be done or at least tone down the playoff P criticism at all?
Well, I mean, look, he have to give us a reason to calm down and tone it down, and he has done that. I could say that he has elevated his game a lot since Kawhi went out, and Ty Lue challenged him. Ty Lue called Paul George to the side and said, hey, if I'm going to the steakhouse, I don't just want a salad. I want the whole steak. I need you to be aggressive, and he's doing just that. One thing about it, I'm going to give props when props is due. Right now, Paul George is handling his business. But Cass, Jacoby, listen, he gave himself this nickname, Playoff P. No one else named him that. So with that being said, he's under a microscope. If he don't perform, then he's going to get a lot of unfair criticism. But if he do form, then you're going to see the apology notes being issued out. But I'm not apologizing either way. I want to see him rise to the occasion.
Jacoby, just like looking back at the origin of playoff P, Paul George was originally referring to him taking on the assignment of guarding the other team's best scorer. He was asked about whether he can handle Donovan Mitchell when he was a rookie. But of course, then he wore the playoff P sandals and there was the press conference. But I mean, 29 points per game, 32% from 3 in this series. He scored 20 points in all 16 games, so he's been consistent. I mean, I know you said you wanted to stop the PG slander, but what are your thoughts now after that Game 3 performance?
Well, he went from playoff P to way off P, and now he's back to playoff P. And let me just say this. Yeah, he's pandemic P. Now he's at the steakhouse. He's got the cream spinach. He's got the potatoes. He's got the filet mignon. He got lobster tail on the side. Like, you complain about 29 points a game. What do you want him to do? And the thing is, we haven't seen this Paul George since the Pacers. Because when he was on the Pacers, he was the guy, the only guy. And with Kawhi Leonard up in the suites, I don't know where he's sitting. With Kawhi Leonard up in the suites, now we have Paul George being the number one scorer, the number one option, the guy carrying the team, and they got a big win in Game 3, and we'll see what happens tonight.
All right, guys. I also, want to see what type of adjustments Ty Lue makes even tonight. He's built quite the reputation for his adjustments this postseason. And the trust his players have in him have been a big reason why they've come back twice this postseason. Take a listen.
I mean, I think it's special that just the relationship I have with T, and the relationship T. Lue has with every individual on his team in general. It just says a lot about him and his leadership.
We crack jokes. We call T. Lue Bill Belichick. All the adjustments he makes. He's definitely going to find a way, and we're going to find a way also, like we always do.
And we now welcome in our guy, Young Masuk. Make sure to check out his story on Ty Lue on ESPN.com. He's outside the Staples Center right now. Ty Lue told me his favorite part of coaching is the chess match, making adjustments in the playoffs. What more can you tell us about his process and how you see it playing out in these playoffs?
Well, look, you guys know how old school I am. I tried to bring the polka dot tie to bring back a little 90s flavors. And this is one thing I love about Ty Lue. Ty Lue has a little bit of old school in him. In the 2016 NBA Finals, he could call out LeBron James at halftime of Game 7 and send that Cavaliers locker room into shock of wondering whether or not this was the right time to call out LeBron James. But Ty Lue knew when to push those buttons. But he has enough new school in him to understand how to approach a guy like Paul George. So after Game 2, when Paul George misses his free throws, he calls Paul George as soon as he gets in the car at 1:30 in the morning out of the plane and says, hey, Game 2's behind us. That's over. We're not here without you. And he knows that positive reinforcement. He told me he likes to hit Paul George with positive reinforcement. That's what Paul George responds to. Ty Lue has had the right touch with everything, whether it's adjustments of putting in Nicholas Batum into a small lineup for Ivica Zubac in the first round that kind of gave Rick Carlisle fits, or starting Terrence Mann when Kawhi Leonard went down against Utah that really gave Rudy Gobert all sorts of problems. Ty Lue has had the right touch. It's why they call him Bill Belichick. The Clippers jokingly call him Bill Belichick because he has been masterful as far as making adjustments.
Well, I'm sure an adjustment that he'd rather not make is trying to figure out, what to do without Kawhi Leonard in the lineup, out again for Game 4. As always with Kawhi, there's not a lot that we know about his injury, but what can you tell us about that injured knee of his?
The Clippers have been very tight-lipped about Kawhi Leonard. Now, listen, he has a sprained right knee. And normally I asked one head coach, how long does it take for a player to come back from a sprained right knee? And he was like, at least 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So listen, it's going to be 2 weeks on Monday from when Kawhi Leonard hurt his knee in Game 4 against Utah. I still would be very surprised if we see Kawhi Leonard in this Western Conference Finals. But if they get to the NBA Finals, I don't know. Who knows? But I think we know Kawhi Leonard, with his body, he is working around the clock to get that knee right in case he can come back.
All right, speaking of Kawhi, I want to run through some things that caught our attention in a segment we're calling, Did Y'all See This? And Jacoby, I know you've been itching for this. We saw Kawhi sitting in the suite in the Staples Center with his family during Game 3. You tweeted about this. What are your observations?
When I see him sitting in the suite, it tells me that he's not coming back in this series. I mean, he should be on the bench. No, he's not a vocal leader. We know that about Kawhi Leonard. But two things. Number one, you need to be down there just to have them feel your presence. You're the leader of the team. Number two, when I go to work to get away from my family. Like, dog, get away from your family. I spend too much time with my kids. You got 2 hours. Get away from them. Let someone else take care of the kids for those 2 hours.
I mean, fair point, as I hear my daughter screaming in the background. Perk, you cool with Kawhi in the suite and not on the bench with his teammates here?
I'm not. And here's why, right? You have your best player on your team, and like Jacoby said, your leader, one of the guys, your franchise guys. You need that energy on the bench. You want to know.
Preach.
Forget just being in the locker room. I remember when KG was hurt in 2008, 2009 season. He really couldn't stomach being out there on the court watching us play because he wanted to be out there. He would be in the locker room, and Doc had a meeting with KG and told KG, no, we need you on the bench. Perk needs you on the bench. Big Baby needs you on the bench. Terrence Mann needs Kawhi on the bench. Reggie Jackson needs Kawhi on the bench. I wasn't really feeling them sitting up in the suite eating chicken wings from Thigh Stop. I'm not feeling that. At the end of the day, be part of your team, whether you're injured or not. Sit down there and be part of the camaraderie.
I mean, I heard he came down at half, but what do you know about the interactions he has been having with the team?
Perk, I love you, my brother, my Asian brother. Remember, we made you an honorable Asian brother a few shows ago, okay?
Yep.
But listen, you're talking about KG versus Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi's a robot. There's no emotions from him. You know what? I actually took the binoculars and I was watching him in the suite, especially after big moments like Paul George hitting the shot from half court. There's no emotion from Kawhi. He's just sitting there with his kids. But Cassidy, it doesn't mean he's just sitting there lounging around in that suite. At halftime, he goes down. He's talked to the players. He's even gone to the coaches' room at halftime, talked to the coaches. He's texting them insights. I actually think it's almost like an NFL coordinator from that bird's eye view. I think Kawhi Leonard's getting a different view of what's going on, and he's able to help them with strategy.
But let me educate you on something. When you on that bench in the heat of the moments, and you got a guy like Terrence Mann who may miss a shot, or you got even Paul George who may be in the shooting slump, and he comes in the timeout, and you have a guy like Kawhi, whether he's yelling or whispering into him, and he comes and say, hey, keep going now, keep rocking out. That was a good shot. Take the next one. That goes a long way with your brothers on the floor. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you 100% on that.
I'm closing my blinds tonight because Ohm might be watching me from with binoculars. Ohm, you got binoculars, dog? I'm closing my blinds tonight.
Hey,
Ohm might be watching. You never know.
We don't mess around.
Next level reporting. Okay, that's next level, especially since in these post-COVID days, they put us far up, so we have to be able to see. Look, stepping up in Kawhi's place have been Paul George and Reggie Jackson. In postgame, Paul George was talking about how the two of them used to live together, and how they talked about teaming up together, one day. And here they are, stepping up in these playoffs. Perk, what do you think about the fact that these two are not just close, but talked about linking up and performing the way they are together in these playoffs?
Well, I raised Reggie when he was in Oklahoma, and all he used to talk about was how Paul George was his Brody. When we used to play the Pacers, he used to go to Paul George's house. I think it runs deep, and here's why. When Reggie Jackson went to Detroit, he had to be the number one option. He's not a number one option guy. Now he's with Paul George, a franchise guy, a guy that embraces him, that knows Reggie, that could get the best out of Reggie, that could challenge Reggie. And now we're seeing the results, and that's why Hot Sauce Reggie Jackson has been balling.
And making himself a lot of money. I mean, what can you tell us just about how Reggie and Paul George have really developed their relationship, and it's showing so far in these playoffs?
Look, they have gone back a long ways. In fact, Reggie Jackson might as well be Reggie George. He is part of the George family. When the Clippers got him, he immediately went over to Paul George's house, and he's basically got like an iPad out trying to learn the plays, asking Paul George. Meanwhile, Paul George is playing like Madden. He's playing like video games, and they invite Reggie Jackson. They're always playing video games. That's the type of relationship they basically have. They have a family type of relationship and a best friend type of relationship. During the pandemic, Reggie Jackson sometimes would go over and stay at Paul George's house. That's how close they are. And listen, Perk is right about one thing. Reggie Jackson was expected to be kind of the man in Detroit. Here, it is a perfect situation for him because he can come in, hit his big shots. As you see with Reggie Jackson, it doesn't matter if he misses 5 shots in a row. He's still going to take that shot in the fourth quarter and hit it, and his facial expression is always the same. I think the confidence he has now, a lot of it comes from his comfortability playing alongside with basically his brother, Paul George. He said the Clippers have basically empowered him. A lot of that has to do with him being right on the same team with his best friend.
Well, pack up your binoculars. Get ready to get inside Staples Center. And can't wait to see your work and coverage on ESPN.com and, of course, SportsCenter after the game. Thank you so much, Ohm. Jacoby, Perk, enjoy the game because that's going to do it for this edition of Hoop Streams presented by Thigh Stop. Log into your cable providers to watch Suns Clippers Game 4. We'll be back for Game 5. See you guys.